Maya Bennett had always been the kind of girl who tripped over her own feet. Growing up in a small town in Ohio, she was known for walking into doors, spilling drinks, and getting lost in buildings she had visited 100 times. Her mother used to joke that Maya could get lost in her own bedroom, but nothing in her 22 years of life had prepared her for the mistake she was about to make. The year was 2347. Humanity had joined the Galactic Confederation only 30 years ago, and they were still considered the newcomers, the babies of the galaxy. Most alien species have been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Humans had barely figured out how to leave their own solar system. Maya had been chosen for a special program. She was supposed to train as a diplomat, learning alien languages and customs so she could help humanity build relationships with other species. It was a great honor. Her parents had cried when she told them. Her little brother had asked her to bring back an alien pet. The journey to Apex Prime, the massive space station where she would study, took 3 weeks. By the time she arrived, Maya was exhausted, confused, and completely overwhelmed. The station was huge, bigger than any city she had ever seen. The hallways curved in strange directions. Signs flashed in languages she could not read. Aliens of every shape and size walked past her, some with too many legs, some with no legs at all. Her orientation was supposed to be in room 47C. Maya walked through the station for almost an hour, getting lost twice. Before she finally found it, she stepped through the sliding door and immediately knew something was wrong. The room was not filled with nervous young humans like herself. Instead, she saw warriors. Massive, terrifying warriors from species she had only seen in videos. There were Corthians, 7 feet tall with gray skin covered in scars. They carried blades on their backs and looked like they could crush her skull with one hand. There were Vethrani, with 4 arms and eyes like insects, each one of them moving with the smooth grace of a predator. And there were Bruthans, whose bodies seemed to be made of living rock, so heavy that the floor shook when they walked. Every single one of them turned to look at her. Maya froze. Her heart was beating so fast she thought it might explode. She had walked into the wrong room. She needed to leave. She needed to apologize and find her actual class. But before she could move, a Corthian walked toward her. He was the biggest one in the room, with more scars than the others, and a look in his yellow eyes that made her want to run. "You are the human for the elite combat program?" he asked. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. Maya opened her mouth to say no, to explain that she was just a diplomat student who had gotten lost, to apologize for wasting their time. But then she heard the whispers. Her translator, Implant, picked up the comments from the aliens around her. "Look how small it is. Humans are so weak. Why do they even let that species into the Confederation? It will not last one day." Something changed inside Maya. She had spent her whole life being underestimated, being told she was too clumsy, too small, too ordinary to do anything special. And now these aliens, who had never even met a human before, were already deciding she was worthless. "Yes," she heard herself say, "I am the human representative." The Corthian, whose name was Commander Vorn, stared at her for a long moment. Then he made a sound that her translator told her was a laugh. "Very well, human. Take your place. We begin now." Maya found an empty spot among the giant aliens and tried to disappear. A Vethrani soldier next to her made a gesture with all 4 of his hands. Her translator said it meant something like, "This will be amusing." The first day was the hardest thing Maya had ever experienced. Commander Vorn explained that this was the most elite combat training program in the entire Confederation. Only the best soldiers from each species were invited. The failure rate was over 60%. Those who could not keep up would be sent home in shame. They started with what Vaughn called basic fitness. For the aliens, this meant running 5 miles through rooms where the gravity kept changing, getting heavier and lighter without warning. Then they had to fight each other with their bare hands for 2 hours. Maya had never run 5 miles in her life. She had never been in a real fight. By the end of the first hour, she was on the ground, throwing up everything she had eaten that day. The aliens walked past her like she was not there. One Bruthan actually stepped over her body without looking down. Commander Vaughn stood above her, his yellow eyes showing no emotion. "You have 1 week to reach minimum standards," he said. "If you cannot, you will be removed." That night, Maya lay in her small room, too tired to move. Every muscle in her body hurt. She had bruises on top of bruises. Her lungs burned. Her head pounded. She should tell someone about the mistake. She should find the diplomatic program and join her real class. She was not a soldier. She was not a fighter. She was just a clumsy girl from Ohio who could not even walk through a door without tripping. But when she closed her eyes, she heard those whispers again. Humans are so weak. It will not last 1 day. Maya had spent her whole life proving people wrong. Her teachers had said she would never get into a good university. She did. Her coaches had said she would never finish a marathon. She did, even if she came in last place. Everyone had always told her what she could not do, and she had always shown them they were wrong. 1 week, she said to herself in the dark room. "I just have to survive 1 week. Then I can decide what to do." She did not know it then, but that decision would change her life forever. It would change the future of her entire species. Maya Bennett, the clumsy girl who walked into the wrong room, was about to become something no one expected. She was about to become a legend. 3 weeks passed, and Maya was still in the program. She was also still the worst student in every single exercise. She came last in every run. She lost every fight. She failed every test of strength. But she had not quit. Every morning, she woke up before everyone else. Her body screamed at her to stay in bed, but she forced herself to get up. She ran extra laps. She practiced fighting moves alone in empty training rooms. She studied the techniques of every species, looking for weaknesses she could use. The Korthians were the first to notice. Their culture believed that a warrior spirit was more important than their body. They had never seen anyone fight as hard as this tiny human female who refused to give up. Every time she was knocked down, she got back up. Every time she failed, she tried again. A Korthian named Threk approached her one evening after training. He had broken 2 of her ribs during their sparring match that day. She had gotten up and kept fighting until Commander Vaughn stopped the match. "You have the heart of a warrior," Threk said. His voice was serious, which Maya had learned was a sign of respect among his people. "Even if your body is not made for battle." Maya tried to laugh, but it hurt too much. "Thank you." I think something strange started happening in the 4th week. Maya began to improve. Not slowly, like normal training would cause. She improved fast. Very fast. Impossibly fast. The station's doctor, a Vethrani named Dr. Celis, called her to his office after a routine medical scan. He looked at his screens for a long time before speaking. "Your muscles have become 47% stronger since you arrived," he said slowly. "Your bones have grown harder. Your heart and lungs work almost twice as well as before." Maya blinked. "Is that normal?" Dr. Celis made a sound her translator called a confused laugh. "For a human? We do not know. You are the first human to ever do this training. But I can tell you that no other species in the Confederation changes this fast. Not even close." What Maya did not know yet was the truth about her own species. Humans had evolved on Earth, one of the harshest planets in the known galaxy. The gravity was stronger than average. The climate changed from burning hot to freezing cold. Diseases killed millions. Natural disasters struck without warning. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans had survived things that would have destroyed most species. They had evolved to adapt, to change, to become whatever they needed to be to survive. The training program was designed to push elite alien soldiers to their limits. For Maya, it was pushing her beyond anything a human had ever experienced. And her body was doing what human bodies had always done when faced with impossible challenges. It was becoming stronger. By week 6, Maya could finish the 5-mile run without stopping. By week 8, she was faster than half the class. By week 10, only the Korthians and Bruthans could beat her. Her fighting skills grew just as quickly. Human martial arts were unknown in this part of the galaxy. The aliens had never seen a judo throw. They did not know how to defend against an arm lock. Maya used moves that her grandmother had taught her from old Earth videos. And the aliens had no idea what was happening. Whispers in the training room. Changed. She was no longer the weak human. Or the small one. Now they called her the anomaly. The one who should not be possible. Commander. Vaughn started using her in demonstrations for the class. Watch. The human, he would say. She is smaller than all of you. She has no claws, no armor, no extra limbs. Yet she improved faster than any recruit I have trained in 30 years. Learn from this. Not everyone was happy about her success. A Vethrani soldier named Crix had been the top student before Maya arrived. He had won every competition, beaten every opponent. He was proud and expected to graduate as the best in the program. As Maya rose through the rankings, Crix grew angry. You do not belong here, he told her one day, blocking her path in the hallway. His forearms were crossed, and his compound eyes showed only hatred. Your species is too young, too primitive. You are a mistake. Maya had spent months being pushed around. She had been beaten, mocked, and dismissed. She was tired of it. She looked up at Crix, who was almost 2 feet taller than her, and did not back down. Then prove it, she said. Challenge me to a ranked match. Show everyone that I do not belong. Crix's eyes widened. In Vethrani culture, refusing such a challenge would be a great shame. He had no choice. I accept, he said. 1 week from today. In the main arena. Maya nodded. I will be there. Word of the match spread across the entire station. A human challenging a Vethrani warrior. It seemed impossible. It seemed insane. But Maya had stopped believing in impossible months ago. She trained harder than ever before, studying every video of Crix fighting. She learned his patterns, his favorite moves, his weaknesses. She woke up early and stayed up late. She pushed her changing body to its new limits. On the night before the match, Thrak the Korthian came to see her. You know he will try to kill you, Thrak said. Vethrani do not like to lose. Maya nodded. She knew. Are you afraid? Thrak asked. Maya thought about the question. She thought about the girl who had walked into the wrong room 3 months ago. That girl had been afraid of everything. No, she said. I am not afraid anymore. Thrak made the Korthian gesture of respect, touching his forehead with his fist. Then fight well, human. Show them what you are. Maya smiled. Tomorrow she would show them. Tomorrow, the whole galaxy would learn what a human could become. The arena on Apex Prime could hold 10,000 people. For a normal training match, maybe a few hundred would come to watch. For Maya's fight against Crix, every seat was full. Word had spread across the entire station. Diplomats, scientists, soldiers, and ordinary citizens had all come to see the impossible. A human female from a species that had joined the Confederation only 30 years ago was going to fight one of the best Vethrani. Warriors in the training program. Most of them expected to see her die. Maya stood in the center of the fighting ring, wearing the standard combat suit that had become like a second skin to her. Across from her, Crix stretched his forearms. Each hand ended in claws that could cut through metal. He was allowed to use them. They were considered natural weapons. Commander Vorn stood between them as the referee. His deep voice echoed through the arena. The match continues until one fighter surrenders, loses consciousness, or cannot continue. Begin. Crix moved first. He was fast. Faster than Maya had expected. His two lower arms swept toward her legs, while his upper arms reached for her throat. It was an attack designed to catch her from 4 directions at once. Maya dropped to the ground, rolled under his reach, and came up behind him. Before he could turn, she kicked the back of his knee with all her strength. It was a target she had studied for weeks. A weak point in Vethrani anatomy. The joint bent the wrong way, and Crix stumbled. He did not fall. He spun around, his claws cutting the air inches from her face. Maya felt the wind of the blades passing by her cheek. The crowd had gone silent. They had expected this to be over in seconds. Instead, the human was still standing. The fight continued. 1 minute. 5 minutes. 10. Both fighters were bleeding now. Crix's claws had cut deep gashes into Maya's arms and shoulders. But Maya had landed dozens of hits on his joints, his eyes, his throat. Places where his armored skin was thinner. At the 15-minute mark, they separated, both breathing hard. "You are better than I expected," Crix admitted. "But you cannot win. I am stronger. I will wear you down." Maya wiped blood from her eyes. He was right about one thing. In a long fight, his natural strength would eventually overcome her. She needed to end this soon. "Then stop talking," she said, "and come finish it." Crix charged. What happened next became one of the most famous moments in Confederation history. People would watch the recording millions of times, slowing it down, studying every movement. Crix attacked with all 4 arms at once, a killing blow that no opponent had ever survived. His claws came from every direction, too many to block, too fast to dodge. Maya did not try to block. She did not try to dodge. She stepped forward into the attack. One claw cut her side. Another sliced her leg. But she was inside his reach now, too close for his long arms to work properly. She grabbed his upper right arm with both hands and twisted her whole body. It was a move from Earth, a judo throw that used the enemy's own strength against them. Crix was twice her weight, but she was not trying to lift him. She was using his forward movement, redirecting his force. Letting physics do the work. Krix flew over her shoulder and hit the ground so hard that the reinforced floor cracked beneath him. Before he could move, Maya was on top of him. She grabbed his lower left arm and bent it backward, locking the joint in a position it was never meant to go. "Surrender," she said. Her voice was calm, even though she was bleeding from a dozen wounds. Crix struggled. He was still stronger than her. He could break free if he tried hard enough. But every time he moved, the lock got tighter. If he kept struggling, his arm would break. For a long moment, the arena was completely silent. 10,000 beings held their breath. Then Crix slapped the ground 3 times with his free hand. The signal for surrender. Maya released him and stood up slowly. Her legs were shaking. She had lost a lot of blood, but she was standing. Commander Vorn stepped forward and raised her arm in victory. The arena exploded with noise. Screams, cheers, shouts of disbelief. Species that had looked down on humans for 30 years were watching a human female stand, victorious over one of their best warriors. Maya barely heard any of it. The world was spinning. She needed medical attention. But before she let herself fall, she looked out at the crowd. She found the section where the human observers sat. the diplomats and officers who had come to watch. She smiled at them. Then she collapsed. She woke up 3 hours later in the medical bay. Dr. Celis had sealed her wounds and was monitoring her recovery. Beside her bed stood Admiral Zahn, the highest-ranking human officer in the Confederation military. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought for human recognition for decades. Today, he looked like someone had given him a gift he never expected to receive. "Do you understand what you have done?" he asked. Maya shook her head. Moving hurt. For 30 years, humanity has been treated as the weakest species in the Confederation, Admiral Zahn explained. We get the worst assignments, the smallest ships, the least respect. Everyone assumed we would need centuries to catch up. He leaned forward. You just proved them wrong. You showed them that humans are not weak. We are simply new. And when we are pushed, we become something more. Maya thought about her journey. The wrong door. The impossible training. The fight she should have lost. What happens now? She asked. Admiral Zen smiled. It was the smile of a man who finally saw hope for his people. Now we show them that you are not the only one. Now we show them what humanity can truly become. Maya closed her eyes. She was exhausted, broken, and bleeding. But for the first time since she stepped through that wrong door, she knew exactly where she was supposed to be. 1 year after Maya's victory over Krix, everything changed. The Galactic Confederation faced a threat that nobody had expected. A threat that nobody was prepared for. The Harbingers had returned. They were machines. Ancient machines built by a species that had died millions of years ago. Every few centuries, they emerged from the empty space between galaxies and attacked living beings. Nobody knew why they did this. Nobody knew what they wanted. They simply came, destroyed everything in their path, and then disappeared again. The last time they appeared, they had killed billions of people and destroyed 3 entire species before the Confederation drove them back. That was 800 years ago. Now they were here again. And this time, they had learned. The Confederation sent its greatest fleet to stop them. 1,200 warships, the best from every species, gathered at the edge of known space. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 800 Confederation ships were destroyed. The survivors ran. The Harbingers were coming, and nothing could stop them. Maya was aboard the carrier ship Eternal Dawn when the retreat order came. She was no longer a recruit. She was Lieutenant Maya Bennett, leader of a special forces team called the Pioneers. The Pioneers were all humans. 47 of them, each one trained in the same brutal program that Maya had survived. Each one showing the same impossible adaptation that had shocked the alien doctors. They were the best soldiers humanity had ever produced. And they were about to face the greatest test of their lives. Maya gathered her team in their ready room as the fleet fled from the Harbinger advance. We cannot beat them in a normal fight, she told them. Their ships are too strong. Their weapons are too advanced. But I have been studying them, and I found something. She turned on a holographic display showing a massive Harbinger command ship. It was bigger than a small moon, covered in weapons and armor. Their ships are all connected, Maya explained. They share one mind, one network. It makes them almost impossible to beat because they work together perfectly. But it also means they have one weakness. She pointed to a spot deep inside the command ship. This is their central processor, their brain. If we destroy it, every Harbinger ship in the system shuts down. A human named Cole spoke up. He was Maya's second in command, a tall man with scars on his face from a dozen battles. How do we get to it? That ship is in the middle of their whole fleet. Maya took a deep breath. This was the part they would not like. We let them capture us. The room went silent. The Harbingers collect living beings, Maya continued. They take prisoners. We let them take us, and once we are inside the command ship, we fight our way to the processor and destroy it. That is suicide, someone said from the back of the room. Maya nodded. Probably. But if we do not stop them here, they will reach the inner worlds within a month. Billions of people will die. All species will be destroyed. She looked around at her team. These were her people, her family. She was asking them to die. I am not ordering anyone to come, she said. This is a volunteer mission. If you want to stay behind, I will understand. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Cole stood up. We are pioneers, he said. We go first. That is what the name means. One by one, the others stood up too. All 47 of them. Maya felt tears in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. There would be time for tears later. Maybe. Admiral Zeon approved the mission, though his face was gray with worry. You know you probably will not come back, he said to Maya when they were alone. I know. Why are you willing to do this? Maya thought about her journey. The wrong door. The training that nearly killed her. The fight that changed everything. Because someone has to, she said. And because for 30 years, everyone told humanity that we were not ready. Not strong enough. Not brave enough. This is our chance to show them what we really are. She paused. We are survivors, Admiral. It is what we have always been. 20 hours later, the pioneers were floating in space aboard a damaged shuttle. They had made it look like their ship was broken, drifting helpless in the path of the Harbinger advance. They did not have to wait long. Harbinger harvester ship found them within an hour. It was a dark, twisted thing, more like a living creature than a machine. Metal tentacles reached out and wrapped around their shuttle, pulling them into darkness. Maya watched through the window as they were swallowed by the Harbinger ship. Around her, her team prepared their weapons and checked their equipment. Remember the plan, Maya said quietly. We move fast, we do not stop, we reach the processor. Nothing else matters. The shuttle shook as it was pulled deeper into the machine. And if we do not make it? Cole asked. Maya looked at him. She looked at all of them. Her team, her family, her people. Then we make sure our deaths mean something. The shuttle stopped moving. They had arrived inside the Harbinger command ship. Maya took a deep breath and raised a weapon. Pioneers, she said. Move out. The door opened, and they stepped into darkness. The inside of the Harbinger ship was a nightmare. The walls were made of black metal that seemed to move and breathe. Strange lights pulsed in patterns that hurt Maya's eyes. The air was cold and smelled like burning electronics. Everywhere she looked, she saw chambers filled with bodies floating in green liquid. Aliens from dozens of species, captured and stored like food in a freezer. The Harbingers had been collecting for a very long time. The pioneers moved fast through the twisted corridors. They had studied the blueprints taken from old battles, but the real thing was worse than any image. The ship seemed alive, changing around them, trying to confuse them. They met their first enemies 4 levels in. Swarms of small machines came at them from every direction. Each one was the size of a dog, with sharp legs and glowing red eyes. They moved together like a single creature, coordinating their attacks perfectly. The aliens in the Confederation would have been careful. They would have found cover, made plans, tried to minimize losses. The pioneers charged straight into them. Human soldiers did not fight like other species. They did not wait. They did not hesitate. When they saw the enemy, they attacked. It was something written deep in human DNA, a survival instinct from thousands of years of fighting for their lives on a harsh planet. The Harbingers had never encountered anything like it. Their computers tried to predict what the humans would do. But humans did not follow logical patterns. They took risks that made no sense. They sacrificed themselves to save their friends. They kept fighting even when they were wounded. Even when any rational creature would have run. 6 pioneers fell in that first battle. Maya did not stop to mourn them. There was no time. She kept moving, leading her team deeper into the ship. The next 3 hours were the worst of Maya's life. They fought through corridor after corridor, room after room. The Harbingers sent everything they had. War machines, twice the size of humans, with blades for arms and armor that could stop normal bullets. Flying drones that shot burning light. Traps that came out of the walls without warning. More pioneers fell. 12, then 20, then 30. But they kept moving forward. Finally, they reached the outer wall of the central processor. It was a massive door made of metal so thick that their explosives could not break through. But there was a control panel. And Cole, bleeding from a wound in his side, knew how to hack it. "Cover me," he said, pulling out his tools. Maya and the remaining pioneers formed a circle around him. They were down to 15 people now. All of them were wounded. All of them were exhausted. None of them stopped fighting. The Harbingers sent their deadliest weapons. War machines built specifically for close combat, with 4 arms ending in blades that could cut through anything. Maya faced the biggest one alone. It was twice her size, made of black metal and red light. It moved faster than anything the big should be able to move. Its blades came at her from 4 directions at once. She should have died in the first second. But Maya had spent a year training against enemies who were bigger and stronger than her. She had learned to move in ways that made no sense, to attack from angles that seemed impossible. She dodged the first blade, blocked the second with her armored forearm, let the third cut her shoulder so she could get inside its reach, and drove her combat knife into the joint where its arm connected to its body. The machine did not feel pain, but it felt damage. It pulled back, recalculating, trying to understand how this small creature was still alive. Maya did not give it time to think. She jumped onto its back, grabbed its head, and twisted with all her strength. Metal screamed. Sparks flew. The machine's head came off in her hands. Behind her, Cole shouted, "Doors open!" The surviving pioneers pushed through into the processor chamber. 11 of them were left. The central processor was a sphere of pure energy, floating in the middle of a vast room. It pulsed with light, and Maya could feel it watching her, calculating, trying to understand what she was. "Set the charges," Maya ordered. They moved fast, placing explosives around the sphere. The Harbingers were coming. Maya could hear them in the corridors, thousands of machines rushing to protect their brain. 30 seconds, Cole said, setting the timer. "Everyone out!" Maya shouted. They ran. Behind them, the Harbingers poured into the chamber. Too late to stop the countdown. The explosion was massive. It caught Maya and her team in the corridor, throwing them against walls and ceiling. The whole ship shook. Lights went dark. The constant hum of machinery stopped. And everywhere in space, Harbinger ships went silent. The network was broken. The brain was dead. Without their central processor telling them what to do, the Harbinger ships were just empty metal floating in the void. Maya lay on the floor, unable to move. Every part of her body was broken. But she was alive. She turned her head and counted. 9 pioneers were still moving. 9 out of 47. But they had won. The rescue ships found them 3 hours later. By then, the news had spread across the entire Confederation. A team of humans had done what 1,200 warships could not. They had stopped the Harbingers. In the weeks that followed, everything changed. Humanity was no longer the weak newcomer. They were heroes, legends, a species that grew stronger when pushed, that refused to surrender, that would sacrifice everything to protect others. The Confederation Council invited admirals in to speak to them. Representatives from 100 species listened as he stepped up to the podium. 30 years ago, You invited us to join your confederation, he said. You gave us the lowest rank, the smallest role. You looked at us and saw a young species that would need centuries to catch up. He paused and looked around the room. But you were wrong. Humanity does not need centuries. We adapt, we evolve. We become whatever we need to be to survive. It is what we have always done. He smiled, and there was pride in his eyes. The pioneers showed you what one team of humans can do. Imagine what will happen when all of humanity reaches its potential. Maya watched the speech from a hospital bed on Apex Prime. Her hands were wrapped in bandages. Her body was held together by machines and medicine. Beside her, the 8 surviving pioneers had gathered. Cole raised a glass of water. It was all the doctors would let them drink. To Maya, he said, the woman who walked into the wrong room and changed everything. Maya laughed. It hurt, but she laughed anyway. To the pioneers, she replied, the humans who showed the galaxy what we can become. Outside the window, ships from across the Confederation had gathered. Hundreds of them, from species that had once looked down on humanity, now firing their engines in a salute to the human heroes. Maya watched the lights fill the darkness of space. She thought about the clumsy girl from Ohio who had gotten lost and walked through the wrong door. That girl was gone now. In her place was something new, something that the galaxy had never seen before. Human who had been pushed to her limits and become more than anyone thought possible, and she was just the beginning. The universe was about to learn what humanity could really do.